Welcome back to another episode of the Profitable Home Services podcast. This is the podcast where we help you find those hidden profit leaks in your business because we know it's not all about that top line revenue that's coming in. If you're not being profitable on each and every job, you can sell to your heart's content and you still will never have a profitable company. So I am your host, Diane Gardner, and today I'm so happy to welcome Jon Sheldon as our guest. We have some great information to talk about. And so, with that, I'm going to say, welcome, Jon.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate you.
Yeah, as we've been talking offline and trying to come up with where do we want to take this particular episode? We started thinking about leadership in small businesses.
Yeah.
In corporate America, you are groomed for and you work your way up the ladder and you're groomed. In a small business, especially in a home service business, which is our blue collar trades, you find yourself in a leadership position just because you decided to go out on your own and try it yourself.
Yeah.
And that can lead to all kinds of end results. Some good, some not so good.
Agreed.
So let's unpack that a little bit and just kind of I'm sure you've got some stories that you can share in your own coaching programs
Hmm.
of where you've seen these blue collar guys just struggle to step, I'm going to say, out of the truck and into leadership. That's a big leap.
It's a big leap, and it's the primary work that I do. So, like when I describe myself, I've got to find a better name for it, honestly. But I describe myself as like a small unit leaders coach. And what I really mean by that is exactly what you just described. I love working with. It's how I grew up, quite frankly. I landed just a little bit about my background. I landed myself in finance, 14 years ago. But before that, my first job was on a farm at 14. My next job was as a landscaper until I went into the Marine Corps. And then all throughout college, when I got out of the Marines, I still worked as a landscaper, and then actually ran my own landscaping company for about a year before I fell into an internship. Um, and so it's a special place for me because I get it. I've lived it. And I deeply, deeply respect the work that those types of blue collar professionals are doing because it's tough. Let's call it what it is.
It
And
is.
when what you just described, I think is so accurate, where it's the majority of leaders that I'm working with or I've met, whether they're my client or not, is they've gotten good at their craft. They've either decided, quite frankly, I can make more money off by myself, or I'm sick of maybe the bureaucracy of this larger business I'm working with, and they just go out and they do it. And that poses, in a sense, this a lot of leadership issues at some points in time because generally speaking, they're really good at their craft. And let's call it what it is. They want to just be doing their craft most of the time, right?
They
That's where
do.
some of the issues really come in. And what do we
Right.
just use that word issue? We transfer it to obstacle. That's where some of those obstacles really come in, is when we're trying to grow past that point in time of just being a solopreneur into more of that leadership role, whether you're leading your clients, your family, or other employees. Where are those next steps in a position that you may have never been into before, like you've never gotten yourself into?
And I'm going to add that you may not have had modeled successfully for you.
Right.
Because the company you
Exactly.
came from may not have done a great job in pulling their team together and putting in those systems and getting everybody to work together well as a team. They may not have had that. And so you
Yeah.
may not have that background that says, okay, I've seen Bob do it. I know what to do. And I can go head out on my own and actually do it somewhat even. A
Yeah.
lot of guys start from almost like instead of the starting point, almost like a negative starting point. They have to figure out the part that they didn't get in their
Yeah.
learning the craft part of it.
It's so right. And I got a funny story for you. I wouldn't call it arrogant, but I was going through college and is in business management. And my brother-in-law actually ran at the time this very successful concealed holster company. He had done a lot of work in the State Department and got out and built basically concealed holsters. And I remember I was doing a project for business planning, and I asked him, I said, "Hey man, would you mind sending me a copy of your business plan so I have something to reference for this for this project that I'm doing. And he just sent me back. He called me and he just starts laughing. He goes, business plan.
What's that?
Dude, what's that? And it was kind of this beautiful lesson to me. Even back then, I think I was 25 or 26. It was this really beautiful lesson to me of like, yeah, maybe all of this stuff, maybe you don't need everything to start. And maybe that's where on the flip side, people get wrong, is like, you don't need this beautiful thing. You just need to be really good at something and start
Right.
going. And
Yeah.
it's not always the end of the world to fill in the back lanes as you move forward.
Plan. I just knew I needed something more than what my current employer was giving me.
Mm.
And I can do as good a job as he can do, which, in hindsight, yeah, I do better than what he did. But it was enough my dissatisfaction was enough to prompt me into, well, just go try it yourself. It was
Right.
harder than I thought it was going to be, way harder.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is.
And there's so much that you have to quickly learn how to do when you make that leap. All of a sudden, you're still the doer because you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
team yet, usually. You're still the
Yep.
doer. Sometimes you have
Yep.
a team around you. If you have a team, now you have to be a leader. You have to do
Yep.
marketing. You have to
Yep.
do management. You have to do HR. You have to do security. You have to do all your IT. I mean, there's so much that lands on your plate that it's easy for somebody to get very overwhelmed. Even those that have been in business for a few years can still become overwhelmed with it all.
Absolutely. And even myself, I've been, in actively running businesses or managing large practices since 2012. And even to this day, it gets overwhelming. And I think that's a message that, especially with this, like, not resurgence, but surgence on social media specifically, of like this glamorization of like running your own business. Talk to real business owners,
Mhm.
right, who are running small businesses or any business at all. Not that glamorous, right?
No, not at all. Nope. Toilet's got to get clean. Guess who gets to do
Yeah, exactly.
it? Trash
Exactly.
is overflowing. Guess who gets to do it?
Right. Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not all out on the golf course,
Yeah.
BSing with the the big wigs and stuff. That's not reality for
It
most
drives
of
me
us.
crazy whenever I see someone post a picture of like doing work from the beach. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What did you do before you took that picture? Why don't we share that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we know that when you take the leap and decide you're going to go out on your own, let me use the term being a fireman. You put out fires all day long. This is
Yeah.
happening, that's happening, this employee needs you, this customer's calling, a vendor's calling, whatever. It's just boom at you just constantly all
Yeah.
day long. And decisions get made really quick,
Yes.
good, bad, or otherwise.
Uh, I mean, I think it's a necessity, truthfully.
Mhm.
Where I think people lack a little bit is where I find, at least, this is my opinion, is a structure on how to make those decisions feel comfortable and confident with people. I think that's where more of the struggle comes in, right? When we don't necessarily have the time, like you just described, when you're putting out a fire or when you have a customer calling, right? How do you actually make those tactical and strategic decisions quickly and confidently?
Right.
And oh, go ahead.
Especially if you don't have some sort of a system or a process there to fall back on.
Exactly. And that's my point, is when we're able to systematize how we make decisions, or even how we make or even what ideas to follow. Think about how many business owners that maybe come to your table and like, got this great new idea, right? And
Squirrel.
it's yeah, yeah, right, exactly. And one of that's kind of where I started this framework that I've built called briefs and battle plans. Is in that I was dealing with a client probably 5 years ago, and he just came to the table constantly. He's a very successful dude. He's got multiple very successful businesses, and just consistently this distraction, right? And I ended up calling it at that point in time this idea filter. I was like, hey man, like, how do you know if these are actually good and they're not just super distracting from everything else that you have on your plate? Being a good father, being a good husband, right? running your financial practice, running your, STR business, right? Running a cleaning company at the same time. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And now you're trying to rent out your truck on the weekends. Like, what's going on here? But what he really lacked was the structure that we're talking about. And I'd love to go into that if you'd
You
like me to.
bet. Because I
Yeah.
am so big on the structures, the systems, the processes.
Yeah.
That fills my soul because I know how it can change a business. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen over and over and over again.
So, and again, not to go too much back into my background, but I was in the early 2000s in the height of the Iraq War. I was an Marine Corps infantry squad leader, and ran about, let's call it 150-ish missions in that world. And what I kept getting asked for from clients was, hey, how do you make quick, like impactful decisions when it really, really matters,
Mhm.
right? Not when you have this time of manifestation on Friday mornings, right? When you're doing it and it matters. And this is where I started coming up with this framework with that client example, and then also my own personal example of like, hey, what were we trained to do? What processes we were looking into or able to sort through very extremely quickly. And I broke it down into essentially 6 steps that's split into 2 sections. The first section I'm going to call the brief, right? And that's split into 3. It's called clarity, condition, and cost, right? So first things first, when you're making a decision, are you clear on what that decision actually is? Do we have clarity around what you're actually deciding on? That may seem pretty basic, but it's not. A lot
No,
of
not at
time when
all.
I'm working with clients, they're very unclear on what decision
Mhm.
they're trying to make. So the first section is that. And each section has to pass. We'll think about it like a grade or progression. If you don't have clarity, you stop there. Let's get clear.
Mhm.
The next thing would be, and there's a big process that we honestly don't have enough time to go through right now. To get through some clarity. What is the vision? What is the purpose? How does this relate back to your business? How does this relate back to profits, right? Revenues, passions, right? Direction. And then when we move on to the next one, that's condition, right? What condition are you in right now to make that decision? Emotionally, physically, time, environment that you're in. Do you have the conditions that surround this decision to actually make it work, right? Going back to some of that, the Marine Corps stuff, before we go out on patrol, every single time we would assess our condition, meaning, do we have enough magazines, grenades? Do we have the right equipment to enact the mission that we're and the decision that we're going on? Same thing in business. Do you have the environment, people, tools that you need to complete your decision, right? Checklist number 2. If we pass that, the next thing that you have to now accept is the cost of your action. What could go wrong? What is that obstacle? And do you accept that if this doesn't go the way that you want to, that you're willing to accept that cost it's going to take, right? Not even if it doesn't go right, just even if it exists. Do you need to spend more time? Are you willing to spend that time? That's a cost, right? Costs, obviously, in your world too, go into revenue. Are we willing to
Yeah.
spend that revenue? Is it a real physical cost that we have to spend? Is it a personnel cost that we have to expel, right? So that's the brief. We get clear, we assess the condition, we understand the cost. And that might be basic, but that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be able to move through very quickly as you get good at it. So then you can make a quick decision and feel confident moving forward throughout your day. So we're not constantly putting out fires. We're creating a day by design or a life by design, not by default. And that's
I
what we
love
love to
this.
talk about.
Ah,
Life by
listeners,
design, decisions by
yeah.
design.
Listeners, I
Yeah.
hope you're taking notes. I've already got half a page of notes sitting here from listening to Jon.
The next piece of it gets into the nitty gritty, right? And that's the action phase. And action phase is split up into 3 C's. I'm big on like we call them the ditties, right? Things that you can easily remember. So briefs and battle plans, clarity, condition, cost, and the next are 3 A's. Align, act, adapt. The alignment one is one of the most important. Okay. So the alignment is the action, the first action I'm going to take towards this decision in alignment with that decision? Now, again, seems super basic, but how many times have we talked with clients or professionals that are very clear on the direction they want to go. And that first action they're about to take is not even close,
I
right?
see that way too often.
Way too often, right?
Way
So
too often.
so
Yeah.
you identify your action and then you say, is this actually in alignment with all the three conditions that I just stated to myself? If it's not, you don't do that thing, and you go back to, okay, what action is aligned, right? When we get to act, the actual physical action of doing said thing, all right, in my opinion, when you get to that point, this is with a big, very large, important word that I like to talk with clients about, and that is it has to be non-negotiable. If we've gotten to this point, we've assessed the clarity, the condition, the cost. Our action is aligned with the direction that those things qualify. The next thing has to be non-negotiable because there's no excuses now. And that's the other thing too.
Okay.
Change it from my goal is to do this. No. We've already gone through these things that we know we're going to do. We know that we can do this. Now it's non-negotiable. Now you do, right? We do this. And when we step with purpose and confidence in decisions, man, they become a lot clearer. The last piece is adapt. So align, act, adapt. Another big fault that I see in business owners, and I'm sure you do too, is they don't adapt quick enough to situations as they come up, right? The action that you take, non-negotiable or not, may not be the right one no matter what. There might be a wrench thrown in your plans. There might be another fire to put out. And if it's big enough, you need to be able to adapt on the spot and assess, do I need to change path or do I keep pushing forward? And oftentimes, and I've made this mistake so many times in my life, Dan, is I have not adapted quick enough. And all that happens, as you've seen many times, especially on the revenue side, is it just compounds and compounds and compounds. When really, if we take our ego out of it, and a lot of times people, if you're listening, it's your ego. Sorry, it is. If we take our ego out of it and say, no, I need to adapt and change this quickly, all of a sudden we gain control. And that's the last thing that you get. You do clarity, condition, cost, align, act, adapt, and that equals control. You control your situation.
I like that. And I'm thinking sometimes at that adapt phase, maybe you need something from somebody else to pull that final piece, like a
Mm-hmm.
VA or somebody who holds that final key that maybe you don't know where it's at. Because I've caught
Absolutely.
myself getting hung up there and going, I don't I don't know how to bridge this last little bit of the gap. I got me us this far. How do you get that last little piece? And sometimes it means I either put the pride away, reach out and
Yep.
say, "Help! Can you get me into such and such a piece of software, or can
Yep.
you get me some wording or whatever it needs to be so you can get that last little piece and get over the finish line?" Because you can stall
Absolutely.
out there and never ever finish what you started because you stalled out.
Absolutely. And that I love that you use the word help because and I'll say this out loud. I think it's a specifically underutilized word in the blue collar community is that word help.
Help. Yeah. Put up the white flag. I need some help.
You need some help. That's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah. We don't have to have our superhero capes on or anything like
We
that
don't.
because I know we put them on all the time.
Yep.
We'll swoop in and save the day. But sometimes we ourselves need a little bit of help.
Yep. And all I think of when you don't ask for it and you don't recognize it is all you're doing is think of it like you're on a hike or something like that. And every time you see a nice rock, you just put that rock in your pack. And what happens? The pack just gets heavier. And at
It
some point in
does.
time, you can't walk anymore. Right? When all you really
Right.
need to do is say, hey, can somebody else take this rock this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I know I have been guilty of that over the years. I'm getting
Oh,
better,
me too. Oh my God. You kidding me?
of
Yeah.
reaching out to the team and saying, hey, I just don't know how to do this piece. Or even somewhere in the middle. I don't know how to do this, whatever the piece is. And somebody else on your team is going to be gifted in that area.
Yeah,
Step in.
100% agree, and that's why I love that's the second clarity condition is that environment, and that's where you really need to get a hold of like who do I need to help me with this? That's a piece of
Yeah.
that. It's a piece of your environment. It's a piece of your ecosystem. Can I do this by myself? Do I need help?
And if you need help, where do I go to find it? Is it on my team or am I going to have
Yep.
to look outside of my team
Exactly.
to get that help?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that because it gets pride completely out of the way and it
Yep.
allows us to actually finish. There's so many amazing business owners that don't get things done. They don't get it finished. They're
Yep.
great starters, but they're not always great finishers.
Yeah.
And
Visionaries, not implementers. Yep.
yes, yes. And so when you've got a framework like this, I think it makes it easier even for your team to come alongside you and help you finish. Because a great
Absolutely.
visionary sometimes just needs to hand it off and let somebody, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow,
Yep.
wow. Thank you for sharing this. So, would you go through
Yeah, of course.
those six pieces again? Because I'm sure some of the others were writing so fast they didn't get it all written down.
And I know I talk fast, so I apologize.
And it will be in the show notes. So,
Yep.
people don't have to
Absolutely.
worry. We'll have it in the show notes for you. But,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
a quick recap of those six again.
No, no worries at all. It's clarity, condition, cost, alignment, action, adaptation. I'll do it one more time. Clarity, condition, cost, align, act, adapt.
Very good. I love that. And I think if we were following a framework like that, we not only would make better decisions, but our team wouldn't be so confused about where are we? Because one day we're here, and two
Mm-hmm.
hours later we're clear over here, and
Oh
they
yeah.
don't know
Yep.
how we got there. When they walked out the door, we were over here, and they come back in, and
Yeah.
that's hard on a team.
Oh, it's brutal on a team. It's brutal on a team. Yep.
So,
Look, people want direction, and as leaders, that's what we need to give them. That's what they're looking for, right? As there is this is one of my favorite sayings because it's so clearly, it came to me a couple months ago. I do obviously a lot of leadership work. Maybe it's not obvious, but that's what I do a lot of leadership work. And there's a cost to leadership that most people aren't willing to accept. And that is people are looking for you for direction.
they
And you
are,
have to be
yes.
able, yeah, and you have to be able to speak that into existence. You have to be able to communicate that into existence, right? And use frameworks like this, or one that, if it connects with you, awesome. If not, find your own, right? But
Mhm.
and use frameworks like this to be able to pass down to your crews, right? Pass down to your people because they need frameworks like this too. So you
They
can
do.
empower them. And as we talk about things that really do increase profitability, revenue, if you can start empowering your people to make decisions without you, talk about growth.
Then that's where the whole scalability piece comes
That's where
in.
scalability comes. Yep.
Yes. Because now you've removed yourself as that major bottleneck in
Yep.
your own business. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody knows this, and every foreman is gonna hear me and say, "Yeah, dude, I get it. You're the backbone. We all know it, right?"
Yeah.
We used to
But
we used to call this. We used to call them in the Marine Corps. We used to call Lance Corporals the backbone of the Marine Corps because at the end of the
mhm,
day, it's that small unit leader that's still on the job site making the calls. They need decision making frameworks like this to be able to
mhm,
be your eyes
right.
and ears and make smart decisions without you.
Right. And your team will actually thank you for it.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that is something I hear from team members all the time is I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what they expect of me. I'm confused. And a
Yep.
confused team member will leave. They won't stick around indefinitely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's utilize frameworks like this. Let's be clear with our am I in charge? At what point do I hand it off to you? What point do maybe you have to hand something off to somebody else? Get that clarity out there, and then we can all win as a team.
Yeah. And I love the word you use, expectations. Set expectations.
Hmm.
Again, people want them.
Yep.
People like direction, and that comes with expectations,
Yeah.
clear expectations.
Well, they need to know at what point have they, let me use the term, did they win? Did they
Yep.
made it
Yeah.
over the finish line of their piece of it. Score, I did it. They need
Yep.
to know where that line is. I
Yes.
laugh because in my business, we do a lot of work in the tax world. And we feel like the Congress and the IRS takes the bullseye and it's here and then it's over here and then it's down here and then it's here and it's over here and it's back over here. And we're all, as the tax preparers, are going, could you just leave it in one spot so we could hit the bullseye for you?
Yeah.
But it's constantly moving, and I think team members feel that a lot within businesses.
Oh,
If the rules are
yeah.
changing daily, the expectations are changing daily, there's no way they can be successful.
Yep.
And that makes for a very dysfunctional team family that
Incredibly dysfunctional
splinters.
team family. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, and this is what I'll say. There's a difference between a group and a team. And in my opinion, not even in my opinion, a group is a conglomeration of individuals working together, right? Which is most people consider a team. That is not a team.
No,
A team is that same thing with a shared outcome or goal,
you bet.
right? And if we miss that piece, that vision piece of it, as we call it, you're not really functioning as a team,
No.
which is why you don't have collaboration, which is why you don't have people going the extra mile, because they don't know what they're doing it for.
Right. Yeah. They don't know what the why is or the purpose or
Yes.
whatever, any of
Yep.
those kinds of words that you want to use.
Exactly.
They're
Yep.
lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. This has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. Yeah.
I love it when I get to talk this kind of stuff with other people
Yeah, me too. This is
because,
great. It's awesome.
yeah, great minds thinking alike over here today.
Just a little shout out to both of us. No problem. No worries, Diane.
Pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
Well, John, I know you've experienced it, I've experienced, our listeners have experienced it. I'm going to go back to those quick decisions just constantly coming at you. And we enter in that decision fatigue piece of life.
Yep.
I know, especially during tax season for me, my
Ugh.
husband will ask me if we want to go out to dinner, and I go, okay, just feed me. Well, where do you want to go? Oh, please don't make me make one more decision. I can't. I'm in decision fatigue. And
Yeah.
just order for me. You know me well enough. Order for me. Put some food on my plate, put it in front of me, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But I'm not the only one that feels that way. I'm sure you have felt that in your business, and I know others do too. When you've been hit all day long, just constant decisions, at some point, it's you almost want to check out, but you can't. You're the leader.
Yep.
Any ideas on how we can help them get through that piece of it? Because decision fatigue is real. It's common.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of different things. First, I think prioritization matters a lot. So if we're looking at our day, I think it's really, really helpful. And this isn't sidestepping the conversation. It's a preface to it. I think it's really, really important for people to identify the most important things every day.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Because
agree. Yes.
I think that that's a part of decision fatigue is that you're making some decisions, and this is true. You're making some decisions that don't need to be made right now, today. And that's okay. But we have to know which ones those are. And if we aren't prioritizing them correctly, right? And so what I coach a lot of clients specifically on is just do your top three. What are
Yep.
when you're looking at your day, what are the top three things that have to get done today? If we can walk away every day with a win in that matter, in that method, we're going to automatically feel like we've cleaned up a little bit up here. Right?
You
These three
bet. Yeah.
things have to
Different
get done.
headspace. Yeah.
You're clearing up at least a little bit of headspace, which is one of the major issues. You and I were talking before I got on here. We've both had long days today, right? I'm in that space where you are with your husband. I'm with my wife. She texts me, hey, what we're doing for dinner? I don't care, right? Like,
Just feed me. Yep.
just,
Just feed me.
just feed me, right? Right. But I think that's a piece of it. I think prioritization is a piece of it. I do. Now, once we prioritize, that doesn't mean that the rest of the things stop, right? Just because you did your three things doesn't mean you can just go
Right.
home and be like, oh, great, the day's over, right? But I think that identifying those is a big piece of understanding decision fatigue, and then also being able to know what can clearly be sidelined if you don't need to do it today, right? I feel like most people believe wholeheartedly that everything needs to be done right now, right now, right now, right now.
And everything has equal importance.
Values, it
And
does
it
not.
doesn't. Right.
It doesn't. Exactly. And so the things that can be left to waste, make sure there's actually, I'm reading this book now. It's called Rest. I don't know the author's name off the top of my head. It's been good so far. It's important to identify what that means. For some people, that might mean 5 minutes, right? I need 5 minutes to clear my brain. For me, it's music, right? Sometimes between 10 minutes, instead of doing what I had planned in my calendar, say, I don't need to do that right now. What I need to do right now for me is get up between these 10 minutes between my meetings, throw in my, ear pods or whatever, and just listen to a couple songs and decompress for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You don't need to be stressed out every second of your life.
Right. And
right?
that's actually harmful to be.
It's super harmful,
super
right?
harmful. Yeah.
And it causes exactly what you just defined, which is this decision fatigue. And then all of a sudden we start making bad decisions.
And we don't realize it because we're just throwing out decisions,
Yep.
almost like a machine would. Throwing
Yep.
out decisions and no thought or emotion or anything attached to it, but throwing out decisions, which can have long-term effect on our business, our team,
Oh my
affecting our
God.
profits, affecting the future of your business. And we
Yeah.
don't think about it because we're exhausted and we're
Think
just
about how
making
many times
decisions.
that like seriously impacts profits though. When you make a silly decision at the end of the day that you didn't need to make right then, but you didn't feel comfortable or give yourself permission to not make it right then.
To wait till
Right.
the next morning when you're
Can wait till the
fresh.
next morning.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And one of the things that I learned, it was actually a great piece of advice that I learned, and actually I learned this in boot camp, was we were always taught, if you don't know the answer, don't make it up. Just say, I don't know, but I'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple, but so powerful. And that's how we can
It is.
get away from some of those decision fatigue too. I don't know right now, but I'll find out. All you're doing is buying yourself some time not to make a poor decision or make the wrong one. Give yourself some time.
And that's a valuable insight. It's something that I do constantly because a client will hit me with something and it's like, rather than, I don't know, to have a quick little comeback like that. That's a really good question. Let me get some information on that and I'll get back to you.
And I'll get back to you. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But you
And
can
then
you can tell
that gives you
yourself that
time.
too.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's the
Yes.
important message here. You can tell yourself
Tell
that,
yourself.
hey, John, let me get some more information on this and I'll handle this tomorrow morning. Maybe it'll make it on my top 3 list. Maybe it won't.
And I know for me, when those hit me, they seem to hit at the end of the day.
Oh
And
yeah.
I just grab a sticky tab note and just jot it down to get it out of my headspace so that I can go home and not think about it when I'm at home or when you're trying to sleep. Your brain's still chewing on it. If I can jot it down, stick it on someplace I have it in the morning, it seems to give me that ability to go home and rest.
Absolutely. And I've got a little like desk whiteboard here that I do the same thing. And then
Uh-huh.
I'll give a tip to you and your audience if you're open to it for technology
You bet.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this app called Motion, Motion, right? Motion.
Okay.
It actually connects with your Siri and Android's Gemini, right? It connects to both of those things, and I can literally talk to my. It's actually turning on right now because I said it. I can talk to my phone, and what Motion is a task organizer that automatically syncs with your calendar and
Oh,
organizes your day. I'll literally just say, I'm not going to say it now, like, hey phone, we'll say, hey
right.
phone, open Motion, remind me to do this tomorrow. And it'll literally put it on my calendar for someday tomorrow so I don't forget about it. But I can just do
Love
that
it.
in the moment when I'm typing you an email for, say, like when I'm responding to you or responding to an associate or a client. It's like, oh, that just popped in my mind. Hey phone, Motion, make sure I do this tomorrow. And it'll just put on your calendar. It's actually been saving me a ton of time
A
and
ton of
mental energy.
time and mental energy, you bet. And that whole almost a restlessness that people battle with
Oh,
because it's swirling in your head and yeah, and then you're not there, you're not present for your family and your friends and people like that. And so everybody's paying the price because we've got them swirled around in our head. So I love that idea of get it out, let it drop, and then move on.
then
We
move
can
on.
come back to it. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, this has been great. Thank you so much.
You've been great.
I
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
mean, I feel like we could just keep going for a couple of more hours, but we can't do that to
Probably.
our listeners, and we can't do that to you since I'm coming in at the end of your day.
No worries, no worries.
So, John, we've come to the point in our interview where we have our magic question. And our magic question is, what is a hidden or unique profit leak that you see when you're working with home service business owners?
Yep. Um, I mentioned it, I briefly mentioned it earlier. It is very specifically not using the tools that you have or the decision-making frameworks that you have and empowering your next seat below you to make those decisions. Feeling like you have to do everything is slowing you down, and it's costing you profit, and it's leaking revenue in your business, because you should be able to empower the backbones of your business, the people, your second in commands, your first mates, whatever you want to call that, right? Your foreman, whatever business you're in, if they are empowered to make smart tactical decisions in alignment with your business, and they don't know that unless you share that with them,
That's right.
that is absolutely a profit leak right there. And it's a big one,
It
because it's
is
costing you
huge.
time,
Yes.
a lot of time, where you could be off doing other profit generating activities that you might be uniquely good at, running your company, being more of that visionary, maybe still doing the work on a different level. But if you can't empower and explain to your people, your core people, what the vision for this business is, what the reason for these decisions are, and give them frameworks like we talked about today, that is probably one of the more unique profit leaks that we don't talk about enough.
We don't. And we should be shouting that from the mountaintops because
Agreed.
it is a message that's not said often enough. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So, listeners, I hope you took lots of notes today because I know I sure did. And I'm looking forward to the show notes and things that'll come out from this episode. John, why don't you take a minute and you a little bit more about what you do, some of that type of thing.
Could you repeat your question real quick? You just cut out. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you would take just a moment and tell our listeners how they can contact you and learn more about what you do, that'd be great.
Oh, absolutely. So my business name is a little bit hard to pronounce. I acknowledge that. It's actually Bellawood Coaching, BELLEAUWOOD Coaching. My website has a lot of information about me. Like I mentioned before, there's a contact form on there if you ever want to reach out. I do post daily, not daily, weekly videos on Instagram specifically about some of these types of topics in these conversations, 90-second videos once a week, talking about these types of decision-making frameworks, situations that I've run into, clients run into. I get actually really, really good feedback on that. And so if people want to follow me on there, that's Bellawood, BELLEAUWOOD _ coaching. There's a lot of great free information on that. If you contact me, what I'll absolutely give to your audience, if you're okay with it.
You bet.
I actually have a PDF of that framework that you can take in your vehicles, on the road, at job sites, in homes, right? If you run into those situations and you're a writer and you like to write it out, I will absolutely, if you reach out to me on my website, I'll absolutely provide that. And I can also give you a link, Diane, for the show
Okay.
notes as well if they want to download that.
You bet. Yeah, I'm sure that we'd love to put that in the show notes for you
Yeah, cool.
because that was great information and I think there's not enough of that out there, to help us
Yeah,
make
look,
better decisions.
my whole brand is working with active leaders, active practitioners, active business owners on quick things that they can do in real life situations. That's not, again, 2 weeks apart or sitting in, and doing whatever exercise that you want to do. I'm focusing on the moment, because that's what matters, in my opinion. That's really the work that I do in my coaching practice, working a lot with blue collar businesses and a bunch of other different industries as well, but service-based businesses, in working with them and their teams and getting more of that alignment, getting more of that team culture, right? We've had so much success. If you don't mind me talking, Diane, we've had so much success with some of these businesses on doing some of the things that we talked about in the beginning that they've never been exposed to, right? How to run good team meetings, right? How to create good actual culture that drives results and revenue. And these aren't just my theories. one of the things that I love about my business is I track everything. So like I track all my clients' progress in a system online that they have access to, so they can see their progress as they coach with me. They can see their team's progress as they coach with me in
Love it.
real data, right? Not just like, hey, here's a follow up email. No, like we track stuff. You don't
Mhm.
work with me if you don't want to be serious about it.
Very good. Well, thank you. So, listeners, I'm hoping you found value. I'm sure you have. How could you not in today's episode? Hey, if you have found value, seriously, would you please share it with your friends, with your colleagues, with your other people that, that are out there in the home services trades that you know? We'd love to get more eyeballs always on our podcast. We'd love for you to like and subscribe in the various channels and again on YouTube as we help get this message out there because we are so passionate about wanting you to become more profitable. And I always use the term wildly profitable, not just barely break even profitable business. We want you to have a wildly profitable business, one that you love and that your teams love to work in. So, with that, we're going to park it for now. Be sure and catch our next episode as we wrap up this episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. Thank you so much. We'll catch you later.